from Seattle, Washington, Johnny Guenther. From Chicago, Illinois, one of the game's great television performers, Johnny King.
Everybody, and welcome once again to Championship Bowling here at the beautiful Strike and Spare Lanes in Northbrook, Illinois, where you're seeing the greatest stars in the game today, a field of 24 of the best, competing for over $60,000 in prizes. It looks like a great match this week. $1,000 to the winner, $500 to the loser. All competition sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress. All 300 games are worth $10,000 apiece. Two boys back making their second appearance. They're shooting at Bobby Kowalik's leading 14-18 for 6 games. That's a .236 average. Bill Bonetta of Chicago with 13.47. Johnny King, who had 6.61 his first out. Johnny Guenther, 5.96 his first appearance. So the boys have a job cut out for themselves. It'll be interesting to see how they go. We're ready for game number 1 in just one moment.
Here is Johnny Guenther from Seattle, Washington. He won the toss. He elects to start on the left side, all games starting on the left. Then his opponent moving from right to left. The youngster throws. Looks like he is too high. Leaves the 4-7. Johnny Guenther, a member of the AMF Staff of Champions, born in Langdon, North Dakota in 1936. One of the newcomers, moved to Seattle in 1949. Started as a pin boy in 1951. Throws at the 4-7 and covers. So Johnny King, a Cleveland product, came to Chicago in 1957, and he's been a great star ever since. This fella has rolled a 300 game on television in 1957. Won $10,000, totaled $835 for 3 games. Throws, looks like he's there, and he kicks the 4. Just a little tight. This fella in practice sessions has been nothing short of sensational. So big things are expected here of this popular Chicagoan, a former Chicago match game champion. In fact, a title he won twice, in 57 and again in 59. He also won the Cleveland match game championship. In the second, throws, got the dig, gets there and carries, and that's 2. Don't go away. So Johnny Guenther, the youngster, getting some great experience here with a tiger on his hands, the Washington State All Events champion. He's been the Seattle match game champion 4 consecutive years. Member of the All West Coast team 5 times. Going for his first strike. Kicks the ball. Nice ball. Boy, he set that one. Johnny likes to throw them up and set them. So at the end of 2, Guenther moves left. He's on a strike. King has the first 2. Notice Guenther extends that ball. Hand in a set position. The reach, the throw. He's there. Number 2. So Johnny King, up to this point, hasn't scared the youngster at all. They're shooting at Bobby Kowalik's and his 14-18. Bill Bonetta's 13-47. King throws, sets, here it comes. He carries to 10-10. Well, Johnny was a little concerned. He didn't think he had enough to get up to the 10, but he got some nice action. He has 3. King needs 687 to top Bonetta. Guenther needs 752 to top Bonetta. Look out! Look at that! Oh, Johnny with a big whistle. He's real happy with that one. He climbed right up on top, kicked the 4-7 out. Johnny Guenther, Seattle, Washington. Nice turn. Center line. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful ball. This fella doesn't use much of the lane. Plays center. Throws it out at about the 3-pin and then just brings it back enough to get up to the pocket. Pat was quite a ball player. Played semi-pro ball on the West Coast. Attended West Seattle High School. Throws a 3-finger ball, semi-fingertip, extends it out, waist level, to reach. Here it comes. It's there. It's in, and one more. Oh, we got a real one going here this week. Don't go away. At the end of 5, Gunther is spared. He's got 4. As King moves in the 5th, he's on 4. Oh, John, you're too far. Too far. The bucket, the 2-4-5-8. King just gave it a little too much. So the youngster now has taken the lead. He's crowded the pocket. Twice, in the 3rd and the 4th. Must have been conscious of it. Didn't want to be too high again. Here's a tough shot. The 2, the 4, the 5, and the 8. And he covers beautifully. No doubt about that one. So at the end of 5, Gunther, filling in the 30s, is 80, working on 2. King with a spare, 106, and a spare in the 5th. So King now moves to the left side. His young opponent out in front by at least 4 pins. He's on the strike. A chance to make it 14 as King lets loose in the 6th. Throws in and carries. Well, when Johnny starts to kick that foot out, you can bet he knows that ball's going in the pocket. So in 6 frames, King has carried 5, leaving the bucket, the cluster, and you're not far away from the pocket when you leave that one. And now the youngster tries for his 5th. Maintains a straight line. The lift. He's there. Oh, he has a great line here on the right side. King is much outside of that. Gunther taking the shortcut, playing this lane much like Loy Countryman did. King, who started with 661. Gunther has a bigger job. He started with 596. Could it be? You betcha. Nice and easy as this young fella just throws him in there. He was a little tight in the first frame, leaving the 4-7, following the pattern of Bobby Kowalik, Detroit, who racked up a 290 in his second out, totaling 763 to give him the lead at this time, 14-18 for 6 games. King in the 7th. He is thin. He does not carry the 5-pin, and John has been short here twice. Johnny making faces. Well, King caught Big Pat Patterson in his first out, and after games of 237 and 223, Big Pat threw the first 10 for 287 and 747. So John must inspire these boys. There's the cover. So Johnny moves left. Gunther needs 752 to move in ahead of Bonetta. 71 pins more than that, which would be 823 to top Bobby Kowalik. Why not? You can do it with a pencil. You can do it with a bowling ball. We're in the 8th. King trails by 34 pins. Throws. Too far out again. Very wide. The 1-2. Missing the head pin. This happened last week to Tony Lindemann in a very crucial spot, and Tony missed this spare, just barely touching the head pin, leaving the 2. So King, after starting with 4, has been shooting wide. Look out. That's almost what Lindemann did. John just got a piece of the 2. He has the spare. Big lift, gotta dig. He doesn't get there, and he almost had the bucket. A little wide. Gunther not holding that tight line, giving it a little room. And both boys now have thrown a couple wide, leaving the 5 and the 8. You don't see this one very often for a right-hander. So Gunther has stopped. He has a lead of 24 pins. Both boys now with spares in the 8. So Johnny will move left. Gunther's first opponent was Carmen Salvino, the Chicago Flash. He lost to Carmen 656 to 596. Admitted to being quite nervous on his first appearance on championship bowling. So from all indications, he has shaken off the nervousness and has done a great job here in the first game. We're in the 9th, the big frame for the strike. Too high, the 10 pin. Broke it up, might have been wide open. This gives room for King. At 9th frames, the big frame for the strike. Careful. Johnny King, a great television record. That's the lift. Here it comes. Oh, he wasn't short for that one. So Johnny gave that one the lift, had the angle he wanted. Actually, that's the same angle he has had here on the right side when he left the bucket in the 5th and the 5 pin in the 7th. He just gave that one a little extra, which is the way he was throwing it in practice. So King, with a couple here, can get out with 240. Now he only needs 687 to push Bill Bonetta off the board. Here's a big strike for John, and he is there. Big one. So Johnny with the double. He started with 4. He has a chance to close with 4 for 244. Gunther can pick up a double in the 10th for 257. $1,000 to the winner. $500 to the runner-up. The start of what looks like to be a great match. And here she comes. He's got it. Boy, this fella really works, I'll tell you. When he throws that ball, he's working all the way. Johnny can go down on his knees. He can fly right out of the establishment, usually going to his left. Has quite a record on television. He's rolled 300, 2 290 games, and 2 279 games. We had a chance to be a part of those 2 290 games, calling the shots. There it is. Boy, what a great finish, and a clutch finish, too. And again, we point out the importance of that strike in the 9th frame. King pulled out a 220 game and made it 244 with 1 in the 9th and going all the way. So Gunther needs a double and 8 pins to win the first game. So King needs about 444. There it is. In the last 2. But as the boys mentioned last week, from all indications, it's going to take 1,400 or more to get in the finals. With fellows like Billy Whaley with 720, Pat Patterson with 747, still to be heard from. This is Johnny Guenther, the youngster from Seattle, Washington. Needs this one for 250. Boy, he has just a beautiful angle here on the right side. And if you're noticing, if you're a student of the game, you see a tremendous variation here in King, who bellies the ball, as they call it, throws it out possibly as much as the 3, maybe the 3-6, where Gunther is farther left and throws almost straight at the 3-pin, straight at the pocket. The ball actually falls back. This one's coming. Well, he changed his angle slightly and got it right where he wanted it. A wonderful start here in what looks like to be a great match, so don't go away. The winner was Johnny Guenther with 257. Johnny King, 244. So the boys are on their way. We might break up the lead totals here for the championship roll-offs. This is Fred Wolf, Championship Bowling. Right now, your hosts have a word.
Here are the scores for the first game, ladies and gentlemen, in a great exhibition of pocket shooting. Johnny King, 244. Not enough. The winner, Johnny Guenther, with 257. How about that? Very interesting in checking the statistics here. Both boys had 9 strikes. Gunther, 257. Don't count this fella out. King, 244. And we mentioned exactly what he needs to knock Bill Bonetta off the top. It's still Bobby Kowalik with 14-18. Bill Bonetta with 13-47. These boys are appearing for their second time. Our entire field, of course, will follow. You'll see them all twice if you haven't seen some of them already. It's total pins for the 6 games to qualify for the $15,000 championship roll-offs. We're ready for game number 2. You folks ready here in Northbrook? Come on. Let's hear you.
Johnny King, the Chicago veteran, a member of the AMF staff of champions. They call him the man with the big cigar. 244. He works on 4 in a row. Hurry up.
Oh, he got away with it. Well, Johnny was a little leery.
So Johnny Guenther, who finished his first game with 3 after a string of 6, running through the 7th. The youngster from Seattle, Washington, who is letting Mr. King know that he's not a soft touch. Hear that ball digs, and look at that. Now, Gunther, in watching, as we are in a tremendous position here, actually, on the right side, lane 48, we're right in back of the line of the ball. Early in the first game, Johnny was holding a very tight line. In the last few frames, we've noticed John giving his ball a little room and letting it come back. It'll be interesting to see what happens in future frames. This ball is too high, right on the nose, 3-6. Gave that one a little extra. When Johnny was only 19 years old out on the West Coast, he turned in an 809 series, which is the second highest total ever rolled in Pacific Northwest history. In 57, he was the All-Army champion at Fort Meade, Maryland. Look out. The 3-6. Had to hold on there for a minute. Now King moving in on the right, Johnny trailing by 13 pins, and he has a chance to knock that down to 3 with a strike in the second. King opened his first match against Pat Patterson with 247. This appearance, 244. And then he had a little trouble the rest of the way out. Here's the big lift. He's got it. Johnny's ball occasionally rolling over the holes. Maybe you can hear it. We talked to John about this in practice here the other day when he was working out. He said he'd rather see his ball, or rather hear it, roll over the holes, because he thinks his ball carries better when it occasionally will go over the holes. Johnny tells you that when he knows the ball is rolling over the holes and he sees it up there in the pocket, he feels he's going to carry most of the time. On 2, going for 3. Here it is. And goodbye, John. And Johnny almost lost his wristwatch. He has the first 3. He started the first game with 4. Will he keep going? Gunther moves in on the right. This match now practically even. In fact, King is out in front by a small margin, less than 10. Johnny Guenther on the right side. Let's see if he handles this one like he did early. There's the tight line, but his ball now is beginning to move, and he leaves the 4-7. So it's interesting to note that Gunther actually has changed his delivery here on lane 48, as we refer to it, the right side. Early in the first game, he held a very tight line, dropping it back into the pocket. This game, he's been giving it a little room, more and more, and you notice that we thought he probably might be going high or wide. because he has to be changing his spot, or if he doesn't change his spot, he's going to be high by giving it the extra turn. So Gunther unable to get the double. He is strike, spare, spare, moves to the left in the fourth. Johnny King now out in front. Gunther improved his first game in his first appearance by 75 pins. Too high again. Double pinochle, the big four. 2 on each corner. So here's Gunther's first open frame. It's the first open frame of the match, assuming that he will not make it. And that's a pretty sure assumption. Takes the 2 and has an open frame. Well, Johnny King's been sitting here and has decided that he doesn't like the way those AMF Kimweld pins are looking to him, and he has the privilege of just pushing a little button and getting a re-rack. They'll get those 10 out of there and set up 10 more. These machines all use 20 pins. There are always 10 working, while the bowler is knocking down the other 10. So let's see if John did the correct thing. He's on a triple. Mentally, he feels better. He's going to hurry on. Oh, there was a big one. So John must have known what he was doing. He asked for the re-rack, played it thin, got there, got a piece of the pocket, and he is in the identical position that he was at the end of 4 in the first game. In the 5th frame of the first game, he threw one wide on the right side, leaving up the bucket. He's now left. This is John's favorite side, incidentally. 5. Oh, he's wide open, just like Gunther. Johnny doesn't know what happened down there. Both hands in his pockets. A big strike for him. The 4, 6, 7. Last week we saw this one 4 times. Lindemann and Robinson were walking through the middle. So King has got to be open in the 5th. Takes the 2. So it's a life for Gunther. After John went through the middle, leaving up the big 4, King followed, leaving up the big 4 minus 1. The first open frame for King. Gunther has had 1. We are halfway as Gunther moves in the 5th frame of game number 2. There's that inside angle, and he's right back in that bucket. So at the end of 5, Gunther now working on a big strike. King is 115. The youngster now moving left on the strike. Chance to pick up 20 pins here because King was open in the 5th. Let's see what he can do with it. 4, 7. Oh, that was a pretty good hit. A little tight. Johnny appeared on television out in Seattle, Washington. Won 6 matches in succession. But this is his first appearance on championship bowling. The 4, the 7, the cover. So King not losing too much ground. King with the open on top of Gunther's open still has a lead here of 33 pins at the end of 5 in the second game. $1,000 to the winner. As John sets, winds, pocket. Well, here we go. Back now to the left side, where King just went through the middle and left the 4, 6, 7. Fingers in the ball. Gets the proper feel. The thumb goes in last. The drop, the lift, the throw is in. No mistake that time. Well, that's perfection, ladies and gentlemen. Here's a real stylist, Johnny King, off again with a double 115 and 2 as Johnny Guenther moves in the 7th frame on a spare. That's the line. There, big strike. Well, he's having no trouble here on lane 48. The problem has been on the left side. Lane 47. His elbow pushed right into his side, keeping the elbow close to the body as possible, reaching, throwing, thin, carry. Oh, boy. A lot of great action there, and Johnny has the big double. So Gunther, who's been in trouble here all the way, still can pull himself out with 222. King works on 2. If he can go all the way, just add 150 to that. 115 and 150, 265. Got a dig, John. There's the bucket again, the 245.8. He dropped it. So King, who needs 687 to push Bill Bonetto out of the select spot. The first 2 bowlers, the top scorers for 6 games, return for the 6-game championship roll-offs for a $15,000 added purse. At the 2, the 4, the 5, be careful. He's got it. Going away on the outside. So King with a conversion, a 6-pin count on a double. Still has a chance for 230. Bobby Kowalik and his 14-18 looks safe right now for this week. Here's the ball. Big strike. So King, who was on 2, again made the slight error of going a bit wide on the right side. The same thing he did in the first game after the first 4. So he's looked at the bucket twice. Deep inside. Nice lift. Thin. 7-pin stops him. So King should go into the 3rd game with a slight margin, depending a lot, of course, on what happens in the 10th. King has that big strike in the 9th, as he did in the first game. First game he went all the way, pulling a 220 up to a 240. Now he has the same situation. He's 180 strike, chance for 240. Gunther at the 7-pin covers. Gunther has moved left. He will bowl out first. After a 257 start, he's been having his troubles this game. Throwing up and thin and the 2-4-5. Johnny likes to play golf. He's a great cribbage player in the card department, and is a restaurant owner in a bowling establishment out in Seattle, Washington. The 2, the 4, the 5. Nice cover. So Gunther has gone from 257 to 188. Johnny King, the Chicago veteran, sitting on a strike in the 9th, had an opener in the 5th, still has a chance for 240 with 1 open frame, and that's going pretty good in any league, and he needs every one he can get. That's better. Oh, he got the 4-pin. Falling this way for 188 for Johnny Guenther from Seattle, Washington. Johnny King moving it on the right. King now thinking about Bill Bonetto and a total of 687, or, of course, as many more as he can get to make it tougher for the next guy to crowd him out. Big strike in the 10th. Big lift. Sets it. There. Boy, he wasn't short that time. Johnny thought that might be a bit high. So we have much the same pattern. And we point out the importance of that 9th frame strike. Here it comes. 10-pin. Well, he got a lot of action there. That 10-pin is off spot by at least an inch. But the AMF, automatic pin spotter, coming down, picking it up, and putting it right back off spot. And to watch these mechanical monsters at work, I'll tell you, it's really something. There's the cover. So Johnny checks in with 230. That gives him 474, puts him in contention, and Mr. Bill Bonetta might be falling off the big board before we're through here this week on Championship Bowling at Northbrook, Illinois at the Strike and Spare Lanes. This is Fred Wolf. Right now, I bet your hosts have something for you.
Here are the scores, ladies and gentlemen. At the end of 2 games, Johnny Guenther, who got away to a great start, 257, down to 188 for a total of 445. Johnny King in a great position to push Bill Bonetta off the board, a 230 game on top of 244, a total of 474. Johnny needing 213. I'm sure that he'll want to get more than that because possibly Mr. King's total won't be around too long either with a lot of the boys that are still on the schedule. Now, before we start the third game, we talk a lot about bowling. As many of you know, I've talked about it for a good many years. There's no doubt about it, I'll tell you. It's a great sport for young and old alike. Now, I have a young woman in our audience here this week. I'd like to bring her out here. She's the captain of a grandmother's team. Would you come out here, please? Right here. Mrs. O'Neill. How are you? Nice to meet you, Mrs. O'Neill. How are all the grandchildren and things like that?
Just marvelous.
How long have you been bowling now, really?
Oh, about 6 years.
6 years. You've
Uh-huh.
followed the game for a long time, I imagine.
No, I started following it when I stared bowling.
Is that right?
Mhm.
You have any favorites in the game?
Yes, Mr. King.
You like Mr. King? Isn't that funny? All the girls like John,
Oh, yeah.
especially the grandmother.
Oh.
All the grandmothers. Now, what is your average, Mrs. O'Neill?
Well, that's something no woman likes to tell, really. It's
Well.
getting up there around 140. I hope to.
140.
I'll talk about it next year.
We'll talk about it next year. I didn't ask you how old you were, and certainly you certainly should tell me your bowling average, but I like your spirit, and I'll tell you, I want you to get that average up to 150, because this is the kind of spirit that makes bowling the great game that it is, whether you're 8 or 80, and I know you're a long way from 80. Thank you very much. Mrs. O'Neill, one of our fine grandmothers. Now, just a little more on top of that, I'll tell you. Why don't some of you young oldsters check with your local bowling proprietor? I'm sure you'll discover a whole new world of fun and a wonderful way to spend those leisure hours. You'll be just like Mrs. O'Neill. You'll have 150 average before you know it. Be a fan. We're ready for game number 3 here. I'll repeat it. It's King 474, Gunther 445. Are you folks ready here in Northbrook? All right.
Johnny Guenther from Seattle, Washington, going out after that $1,000. He trails Johnny King by 29 pins. Not too many. He might get them. Too high in the middle, and he has the 10 pin. King needs 213 to push Bill Bonetta off the board. Bobby Kowalik is still safe with 14-18. The young Detroiter with a sensational 763 series. Just a couple of weeks ago, at the 10-pin, Gunther covers the spare. This is championship bowling originating from Northbrook, Illinois, Chicago's north side. You've watched championship bowling over the years from Louisville, Kentucky, Toledo, Ohio, Chicago, Coral Gables, Florida, Paramus, New Jersey, Chicago Heights, Skokie, Illinois, and here's the great John King. Ball rolling over the holes, pretty good, and he has the 5-10. Almost the 5-7-10. Boy, Johnny threw nothing on that one but the numbers. Let's see what he can do with it. He's going to slide the 5 over, hitting it thin, playing his pocket line, gives it the turn. Here it comes, here it comes! Great shot. Great shot by Johnny King in the first frame. And that means instead of having to get a 4-bagger, John still needs nothing but a triple for 213 if he can fill his frames and get reasonable counts. King moving to the left. John won the 1958 Fairless Hills Professional Bowlers Association Singles Classic. Fairless Hills down in Pennsylvania. In the second throws, he's there. Got it. So King, who threw something into the 1-3 pocket here on the right side, and whether it was his bowling ball or not, almost got the 5-7-10. ended up with a 5-10 and converted it. As Gunther moves in on the right, trailing by 29 pins, he is on the spare. There it is. Well, that's the way Johnny was lining them in here in the first game. Then he started to go around a bit. We pointed it out on a couple of his last strikes in that string in the first game. We're in the third. Both boys on strikes. Gunther throws, sets it, he's there. Carry. A strong boy, and Mr. King is not home yet. The lead is 29. Now he grinds out the pins. Big turn. Gotta hurry! And the 8th pin is up there. So King continuing to stay wide here on the right side. That's been the story of this match. Every mistake he's made over here on the right, and invariably he's been too high. Or too wide, rather. He was high once on the left and left to 4, 6, 7. But the only high hit he's had. There's the cover. So the youngster from Seattle, Washington, very much in the picture as he has reduced the margin now to less than 20. 7 frames to go. Here it comes. Almost the 7-10 on a pocket hit. And Johnny continues to go wide. There's just something about these television cameras. The boys in practice hold a very tight line. As the show goes along, they go wider and wider, and the story probably is they just want to make sure they don't hit the nose. 10 pin, cross lane, King cover. So Johnny's running out of frames. He has 6 frames left. Gunther can cut that lead down to less than 10 pins with this strike. On his favorite side, the lift, he's solid. Oh, brother, is he solid. So here's a youngster who's went on a vacation in the second game. He's right back where he was in the first game, sparing 3. First game, he was sparing 6. So this game, we find Gunther out in front by 21 pins. The margin is 8, and Gunther can take the lead right now with a strike in the 5th as King is on a spare. Throws, sets, in, carries. And the youngster now is out in front, and that $1,000 has changed hands again. Gunther got an early lead. He had King by some 25 pins as late as the 7th frame of the first game. King got past him in the second game. That's the ball. And now Gunther, who sits on 4, has taken the lead. So at the end of 5 in the last game, filling in the 30s, give Gunther 50, 80. He's on 2. King is 79 on a strike. So John has 1 to go on. He needs 2 more for 213, and he might need more than that if he wants that $1,000. On the left, his favorite side, sets. Too tight, 6 feet. Oh, how do you like those apples? Well, John, old boy, you picked one out of the sky that time. So now it'll be interesting to see how Mr. Gunther handles a break like that. So Johnny needs this one to get the lead back. Right now, King is leading. But, of course, Gunther has to fill his 6th frame. If he doesn't strike, King is back out in front. If he does, the margin's still the same. He will be there, solid. Well. So the youngster from Seattle, Washington, refuses to crack as he racks up number 5. 1 more, and he'll have the duplicate of the first game. 6 more, and he can duplicate Bobby Kowalik's and his 290. Bobby started with a 290 to rack up 763. He's the top man right now. Some boys think it'll stay there. Well, in the weeks to come, we'll find out. 1 more. What do you say? In the 7th. There it is. So Gunther showed no sign of cracking as he matched King's 2 strikes, and now John will need the first one to stay with the youngster, and he'll need another one to put Johnny on the spot again. It's king in the 7th. This one will give him his 213. And it's too tight, wide open, and another 4, 6, 7. John drew this in the 5th frame of the 2nd game on 4. He has it again in the 7th on 2. He'll shoot for 2. Takes the 9. So King, who got away with 1 in the 6th, gave it right back in the 7th. Didn't take advantage of it. And Johnny Guenther now running home to Seattle, Washington with $1,000. King lost his first match to Pat Patterson. He had 661 and got beat. Gunther had 596 and got beat by Salvino. Too high again, and we have a pair. A pair of 4, 6, 7s. This is the popular split, Charlie. Had 3 of these last week, 3 or 4. That's the 3rd one this week, and King has had all 3 of them. So Gunther's practically home free. Mr. Bill Bonetta looks like he's free, and he will remain in that 2nd spot. And as the boys have pointed out, it's nice to have it up on the board. Let the boys shoot at it. And the youngster now goes for his 7th strike in succession. We're in the 8th frame. Got to hurry, and he doesn't get there. Well, he looked at 2, 4, 6, 7s that King threw, and I believe that Gunther just was a little bit conscious of going up there himself, and he played it out too far. So Gunther, with 445, had a great chance for 700. He covers. The 2 and the 8. There's a tough shot. Oh, that keeps you busy. So Johnny moves left. 188 spare. Has a chance for 268. He still can get 700. In fact, he might squeeze out a 700 if he doesn't strike here. If he does strike, he's going to have to get a couple more. Here it comes. 5, 7. That takes care of his 700. If Gunther gets this spare, if he picks up the 5, 7 and gives us 3 strikes in the 10th, he'll have his 700 right on the nail head. 5, 7. Out and back. Too much of the 5. He's open in the 9th. So Johnny King can go all the way for 203. If Gunther is open in the 10th, 224, Mr. King can still pull this match out. He has a lead of 29 pins. No mistake there, John. So those 2, 4, 6, 7s, of course, have been very costly to Mr. King, not only for the $1,000, but it would have put him on the big board, and he could go into the championship roll-offs with $10,000 to the winner, $5,000 to the runner-up. King has got to go all the way to make Gunther mark. Once more. Well, there are the same 2 lanes, the same bowler throwing the same bowling ball, the Amflight by AMF, and there is a slightly different result. Instead of 2, 4, 6, 7s, 2 strikes. And John was on 2 going into the 7th. This one here should make Gunther mark in the 10th for $1,000. King throws right back. Well, when you make 2 big mistakes like King made and pay the full penalty, when that 4, 6 is up there, you might as well check it out. 203. So John will have 675. 12 pins short of Bill Bonetta. He gets 9 for 202. 202, 676. So Mr. Gunther will need a spare and 9. Spare and 7. Spare and 7. He needs 232. He has 445 going in. Or 677. He needs the mark. He's there. He's in. He carries the winner, Johnny Guenther. So Gunther comes through with a victory over Johnny King, trailing by 29 pins. Caught himself a 6-bagger, starting with the second frame. The 5-7 in the 9th, the first one in the 10th. Still a chance for 245, which would give the youngster a 690 total. And you're going to hear a lot from this boy. 10 pins solid. Well, it didn't mean a thing, John. $235. He wins this game by 33 pins. He's going to win the match by 4 pins. $1,000 for 4 pins. And he's got the 10. 235. We'll check these scores, give you the totals, and make them official, and talk to both of these fellas. This is Championship Bowling. This is Fred Wolf. We're in Northbrook, Illinois. We'll see you right after these words.
Here are the official scores for Johnny King: 244, 230, and 202. He needed 213. The total 676. John's total for the 6 games, 1337, 10 pins short of Bill Bonetta. So Bill is still on the big board, along with Bobby Kowalik, who still leads with 1418. Johnny Guenther starting with 257, 188, finished with 235 to pull out the win, 680 to 676. John's 6-game total, 1273. Let's bring the runner-up out here, Johnny King. Runner-up, that's twice, boy. Yeah, you got Pat Patterson with 747. And what do you think of this youngster? You watched him in action very much?
He's got a terrific ball, and we do the same thing, only I slowed up 3 times, he slowed up once.
That's right. He didn't
So
make
he's
many
the winner.
mistakes. John, $500 to you.
Right.
Good luck. Keep tearing them up in Chicago, my boy.
Again.
All right, let's bring out the winner, John. Johnny Guenther, the Battle of Johns here. My boys, congratulations.
Thank you, Freddie.
$1,000 you can take back to Seattle, Washington. Did you think you were going to beat this guy when you started?
Well, not really. I mean, I thought I had a good chance, but he's tough, and I've seen him in action, and I knew I was up against the
This
real
proves
tough one.
something to you, that you can beat anybody. So keep on going. A couple of years, you're going to be the big boys. These young fellas coming up making it very difficult. I'll repeat the scores. The winner, Johnny Guenther from Seattle, Washington, 680 over Johnny King from Chicago, 676. Did you like this match? Now, before we wrap this one up, we've asked John to spend a minute here with us. John, now let's assume that all of our audience out there watching Championship Bowling are all 170 average bowlers or better. Maybe you could pass along a suggestion to our advanced
Okay, Freddie.
clientele.
Thank you. I think one thing that Johnny mentioned comes to my mind right away, that speed is very essential, such as Johnny mentioned that he slowed up a couple times, broke through the nose. I slowed up once, went right through the middle. I would recommend to have a natural speed, not a forced speed, not too much speed out there, because give that ball a chance to roll. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you very much. Johnny Guenther, ladies and gentlemen. Good luck to you, boy. Well, try to join us again next week. We'll have 2 more of our field of 24 of these great stars back at action. They'll all be shooting at Bobby Kowalik's 1418 and Bill Bonetta's 1347. Until next week on Championship Bowling from the Strike and Spare Lanes here in Northbrook, Illinois, Fred Wolf reminding you once again that you don't have to play a sport good to be a good sport. Goodbye. matching shirts and slacks used on Championship Bowling by King Louie. Championship Bowling is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress, and we wish to thank AMF for their cooperation in helping us to produce Championship Bowling.